All right, here we go. Been a while, probably a week or two since I've been on the mic and sharing. Today I'm going to talk about life and writing, how to use or how I use this. I ain't use giving out tips like that. I'm just talking about how I write, and I want to talk about how I use life in my writing and things that I do. Because nobody writes in a vacuum. You know what I'm saying? You're stuck in traffic. You got to go to your house and write. You are sick. You got to write through that. Or you take a break and your ideas back up on you. And or you're writing and you're not working for somebody, say you don't have a publishing deal and you're self-published and you invest all these hours in writing 60,000, 30,000, 40,000 words into a book, and then you got to spend money on editing if you're smart, right? And so the economics of writing comes into play. And then just probably other things, people piss you off, people live, people die all around you. Meanwhile, you're writing about something in another world. You're writing about something in Mordor. You're writing about something on another planet. You're writing about something, and this is sci-fi. Urban drama is totally different. Contemporary mysteries and things, they can be totally inspired by real life events. But I'm talking about fantasy. I'm talking about science fiction. Heck, I'm even talking about horror. You know what I'm saying? You can't write when you're going through a horror experience. You're too scared, So you have to write from you might be on a beach. You might be in the woods in the cabin. Well, that could be scary. But you could be in a mall, right, in front of everybody. But you're writing a dark and gloomy enclosed environment. So your life is different from what you're writing. And so for that, I'd like to, talk about that a little bit in terms of how I've used it. 2 weeks ago, I caught not a flu, caught a slugging congestion. It was a congestion that you probably heard it coming when I was doing the videos, but it made you sluggish. And when I would get to writing, there was a lot of other things that I would do before I would get up. And writing requires energy. Don't think that it's not. You got to get hype, your ideas, your head has to be spinning and moving. And so that was irritating. So I found things that I could do to get myself ready and get started on writing. In fact, now I've changed my schedule to address that. And I've done a few things, but I'll talk about them. So that's one thing, health. Your consistency is never going to be there. There's nobody in this world full of diseases that's never going to feel down. Now, maybe you're not going to catch the flu or catch a cold and be really out, pneumonia or something like that. Sure, you may not do that, but, every day you're not going to feel 110%, all right? That's just not going to happen. And so what you have to do is you be prepared for that. Other than that, like with me, I had big experience that got on my nerves, and I was stressed. I wasn't getting sleep. Last week was a really rough week in my life, and how am I, I wrote through it last week. I finished my screenplay. My notes were really solid. I was at the end of the screenplay, so everything was coming together, and it was a really pleasant distraction. And then I finished the screenplay on Wednesday, so Thursday and Friday I was building up for this particular story that I'm writing now. And while it took me a couple of days, I had some meetings on the screenplay and other things like that. My computer broke, so that was another thing. I mean, sheesh, my keyboard went out, so I ended on my laptop, ended up having to use my desktop, which was older, but it had, my Final Cut program on there. It had Word, Microsoft Word, and internet access. So it was there, but it's not as fast and it doesn't have the memory. So I had to go back and use that. But what happened with my laptop, Adele, I can't remember the name of it. I would say Experian 5, but I'm not sure. I can look it up. Probably put them on blast. They asked me to mail it in, and they would fix it. So waiting to see, because if not, I'm going to get another laptop, and I'm not getting a Dell. Forget that. The keyboard goes out. The mouse pad wasn't working. What happened? I had a key that was hitting 6 running across the screen. So if you stop typing for a second, a 6 would go in there. Then you would have to copy or erase. You have to highlight and erase. It was irritating. Even when I was doing Photoshop, it was typing 6. So my hue, if you ever notice Photoshop, my hue was going down. So I'm like, yo, how's this image faded? And it was going on each of my cells and lowering the hue. So that's irritating. So anyway, maybe 3 scenes left, maybe 10 more pages in my screenplay. I had to stop and email it to my old desktop, and then finish it there. And I just persevered. It was irritating. So fortunately today I got the pack and slip, and I'm sending it in. I was on the phone for an hour and a half with technical support. They was running through everything to make sure that the computer was actually broken. That's irritating, You're sitting there not doing any work. You can't go on your computer. It's annoying, So anyway, that's life, Then I had this experience last week, and I figured, you know what? I'm going to embody that frustration and name a character based on one of my anchors to my stress. Now, I don't know if I'm going to keep it, because that stress was too much to even be reminded when I have to edit the book. So I don't know if I want to do that, because now if I go back and read it, I'm going to be reminded of that stress. So I'm thinking about that. What's another thing that I wanted to talk about? I was writing my horror, right? So that's one thing, can name a character. And this really is just like all over the place. So please don't think that this blog is anything specific, but my goal is to share to you how to write through life, how to continue to persevere through the challenges and changes in life. Your car may break down, something may happen to your family. I think the biggest thing for me has been in handling all of life's obstacles is to have quality notes, and then have a routine where I can separate what I'm doing. One of my friends sent me a meditation app, right? And in the meditation app, it talks about sort of putting away your thoughts so that way you can rest and focus on your body, focus on your breathing, and other things like that are more organic to you than the external stresses of life. And I'm totally for that. However, what has worked for me is I replace. So while I do take my mind off of what is stressing me, I replace it with a movie, talking about characters, thinking about a story that I'm writing, even when I'm awake, because sometimes you can't do that when you're about to go to sleep, and that's when your demons come out. When I'm awake, writing is really good for me. Even the lyrics of songs and getting into the song, because if you pick a song that has a different subject matter, the message of it can pull you out of whatever stresses that you're going through. And brainstorming. Sometimes if you focus your thoughts on something else and try to solve a different problem, something that's in your story, it is it's a good technique. What else was I gonna say? So that's that. Dad, there was something else I wanted to mention. I know, like when I'm writing horror, of course I have a whole lot of nightmares and a whole lot of really wild dreams. But how does that, separate me? How do I deal with that with life? One of the things cool with me is a lot of my stuff is social political. So I don't have direct analogies, but there's some life relationship to my stories that allows me to focus on that energy and bring that energy into my story. Like for instance, Get Out. Say I just posted something today about Get Out, right? But say Get Out was really dealing with the missing children, right? While you're writing that, you understand your purpose. You understand what's going on in the world and allow that to fuel your writing. Or say you want to use a character from the real world. Like 2 weeks ago, we had this Jussie Smollett scenario, which is still going on, by the way, but it was just jumping off maybe 2 weeks ago, mid-February. And, people were like, oh, he's lying, or that could have never happened, and all that other stuff. And, if you need a character in your story, or if you need an incident in your story, there's one right there from the headlines. The impact of writing. I'm lying. The impact of skepticism. We don't believe in how these things can divide the community. There's a whole lot of elements in that particular story that you could use in your writing. So I don't know. I'm just wanting to give you a few things. I really wanted to talk about how I deal with life and the things around me. But if you would like to drop a comment, that we can start this thread, so that way we're dropping good advice, because I only know the solutions to the experiences and challenges that I've had. For other people, you may have experienced other things and you've championed those. So share those thoughts and experiences with me in the thread here, wherever I posted, and let's move on. All right, I did the time limit this time, so that's a good thing. All right, y'all, peace out.